Hey, hi, hello friends. This is going to be the second half of my OMG The Weekend react. The video once more does not belong to me. It belongs to Just Saying, and honestly, without her, I'd be dead in the water. So, you guys seem to like the format the last time. This is the second half of that video. If there's stuff I can improve on or whatever, please do let me know. I'm always happy to work on it. Sorry that I've done my makeup like a Batman villain today. I'm not entirely sure why. I don't know, I felt like it. I felt a little extra. It is very hot in here. I normally turn my AC off so that you guys can't hear it run in the background, but I cannot do that, so if there is some noise from that, I apologize. With all of those bajillion disclaimers, let's get into Chantel's video. Now, just a quick recap of where we were before. She just finished discussing her dad. If you guys are watching Just Saying's video, which by the way, her channel is linked down below as always, it's at the 16-minute and 35-second mark. So we're gonna start there.
You can't blame it on, well, your mom wanted me away. When he was drinking, yes. This is really personal, I shouldn't be telling his stuff, but when he was drinking, she wanted him away from me, and that's understandable. He's an addict too. So that's where I get that. I'm 100% convinced it's genetic. He's a big addict. Food addict. Big time alcoholic. Remember, he took me out for dinner once, and we sat at Eastside Mario's, and we sat down in a booth, and when I could fit in a booth. That's how long ago that was. And in the wall behind him, the whole wall had empty bottles of booze, like 40s. And he looks and he's like, I've probably drinking more than that in my life. I said, oh, that's nice. That's a lot of booze. And I'm just seeing, I still don't identify.
So just on an additional comment on her dad and addiction. Addictions do tend to run in the family a little bit. I'm sure a lot of that is learned behavior and a lot of it is genetic. I am not an expert in addiction by any means, so I can't really say, and quite frankly, I haven't done the research on it. Next time I talk to you guys, I'll have done more research, I promise. But for now, the fact that her dad was such a heavy alcoholic, I feel like that should be some indication to Chantel that her habit of taking a ton of marijuana is not necessarily a good thing. I mean, I understand marijuana is legal where she is. I understand that THC and edibles that she's doing, they're all legal. But so is alcohol, right? They don't live in a dry country. And if he can have an addiction to alcohol, she can have an addiction to edibles. And the fact that she doesn't seem to see the parallels between both of them being addicted to legal substances is something that worries me a little bit. I understand food is a little bit of an exception to the rule. You need food to live, or else you don't need any of these other things to live. That's why I'm not making the comparison there as well, right? But the alcohol to cannabis, I feel, relation for her should be pretty clear. Now, once more, I'm not saying that in terms of actual harm done to you, they're both the same. Alcohol, I think, is much, much more destructive. There's significantly fewer side effects to doing large amounts of THC and edibles, but that doesn't mean that it is without consequence. And honestly, for her, it's the fact that her overindulgence in these things leads to an overall reduction in quality of life, right? It takes away her her need to do something about her life, her need to improve the way that she's living, her need to make a change in her life. And that's genuinely the biggest problem here. She doesn't, like, as she is, right, just without any substances, Chantel has a severe lack of motivation to do anything in her life other than anything that brings her hedonistic pleasure. So sex, food, drugs, apparently, right? Like, all she's missing is rock and roll, and even then we'll see an instance of someone offering that in the future. So she's already a very hedonistic person. She's already the kind of person who essentially just does nothing other than what brings her pleasure. And then when you add THC on top of that, which generally lowers your ability to do things, you make it even more difficult. You put up even more roadblocks to you doing anything and getting your life together. And it does lower her anxiety. It does lower some of those negative things that she experiences as well, which I think ends up being a bad thing for her. If she felt those feelings, the full brunt of all of the bad things that she is burying, she might be more motivated to go to a therapist to work through some of these issues. She spent a good long portion of her time in this video talking about her dad and the difficult relationship that she has with him and the history of addiction that he has, and she'll mention in a little bit that her family actually has a history of mental health issues. The thing about that is that it's good that you are willing to share that. And I'm glad that you're saying it to somebody, even if it is randos on the internet, but we don't have the skill set necessary to help you. And even if we did, even if some of us have all of that information and we could share that with you, right? We are not the right audience for this. I am not your therapist. You shouldn't be putting your burden onto someone who is also ill-equipped to deal with it. It's one of the reasons why when you have a toxic friend in your life, somebody who perpetually just calls you and dumps all their problems on you, like they're considered to be a toxic friend. It's hard to be in a situation where all the other person does is dump all their problems on you and you're expected to carry the emotional weight and the mental burden of their problems and your own. That's not how life should work, ever. You need to go to a professional who is well equipped to handle these things. And even in those cases, a lot of times those professionals have their own therapists, right? Those therapists have their own therapists. I just think she should do a little bit more introspection as to the similarities between herself and her dad. And I know she doesn't like him, and that's why I don't think she wants to. But if she did, I think she could actually come away with some pretty significant, important discoveries.
Identify as an addict because I'm in denial that I'm an addict. Like, I know I am, but to label myself that because of how I see and how I judge even other things too. You see somebody strung out on the street, flailing their arms. I saw a guy today, homeless, obviously totally buzzed out on something, and psychiatric problems. And I said, he's an addict. He's a drug addict, and so am I.
So she says this, but I'm not entirely sure that she's internalizing this either, right? She says in the beginning of this portion that she's like, well, I don't like to think of myself as an addict. And that's where I think the acceptance stage of problem comes in. You have to accept that you're an addict, because if you don't accept that you're an addict, you won't be able to do anything about it. Fundamentally, the only difference between the person that Chantal saw, the unhomed person that she saw, and herself is that they're maybe further along in their addiction than she is. She's still fairly early on, right? And I mean this with all sincerity. I think that if Chantal doesn't get a handle on it, she could potentially be headed down this road. I don't know how many people will stick around if she's heavily using drugs. Some of them might. Those hardcore viewers might. They might still support her both in viewership and monetarily, right? And it might not be enough to say live with Pete. Her mom might not be able to take care of her. She might not be able to live with them. Maybe the Canadian healthcare system can put her in inpatient treatment, but they have their homeless population for the same reason that we have ours. It's hard to keep someone against their will if they don't want to stay, right? That's part of it. I'm not saying that that's the entire reason why people are unhomed and why people tend to have all of these issues, but genuinely, for Chantal, it's that she doesn't really want to change. Even now, she's not really willing to, go to a crisis center, call a hotline, do any of those things that might result in a positive change for her. She doesn't care fundamentally if she makes that change, if she gets better, even now. And I think the big reason for that is that she still doesn't see herself as an addict. She probably thinks of it in her head as, I have a problem, right? I have an issue with cocaine. I'm having an issue. And she might say it blankly at the face of it. The way that a lot of times I feel people who are addicts say, oh yeah, I know I have a problem. I know I have an addiction. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to imply that all addicts are like this. But I have known a few people who were addicted to substances. Nothing illegal, nothing, as hard as this. But the way that they've always said it is that glib way. I know, it's a problem, it's a disease. You don't know how hard it is to quit. And a lot of times it's a means of deflection more than it is anything else. They're not saying to me, I have a problem and I need to change. They're telling me what I want to hear so that I'll leave them alone. And that's what I think she's doing here. It's that she's already said once on camera that she's having this issue. I don't think she could have hid it for much longer. And now that she's extrapolated on it and she's spoken on it, she can't go back and now change her story and say that, well, I don't think I'm actually an addict, right? This isn't diabetes. She can't deny it. More importantly, I think that knowing that this about her, if she ever went back and did try to deny it, I think her audience would jump ship en masse. So she can't afford it, quite frankly. And that puts her in this position where she says the things that we want to hear, the acknowledgement that we want to hear, but she doesn't take any actions because she doesn't actually believe it. This is what I mean when I say there's no internalization. She does a lot of lip service. We've seen this multiple times from her. A lot of lip service, a lot of saying the right things and planning the right things, but no follow through, because it's just a surface level sort of acceptance of her state and not a deep level understanding that I have a problem that I need to get a grip on, that I am the only one who can change this. Otherwise, I might be headed down a path where there's no returning from.
And that's what the extreme is. People give up their entire life for their drug of choice. Anyways.
To that point, she's very right. That is why people give up their entire life, right? For their drug of choice. And to be very glib about this, that's exactly what Chantel has done. She didn't go on the Dominican Republic trip. I know. She says it's COVID. She would have canceled that trip 100% even if it wasn't for COVID. She keeps talking about Eurobeasing. That's becoming more and more unlikely. She starts and gives up on the weight loss surgery all of the time. She's never gone to see her aunt in Jamaica again, even though she keeps talking about it. All of these things that are part of her life that she wants to do, right? She's not expressed an interest in really doing anything other than traveling occasionally. And she keeps putting them on hold because of her health. She keeps putting them on hold because she spent all this time indulging in her drug of choice. And her drug of choice was food for the longest period of time. And now she's replacing that with an even more harmful drug of choice, right? She's given up her entire life. She gave up her health. She gave up her ability to have children. She gave up potentially even BB. Because I think that even if Chantel's saying, I don't think I want kids, I think that if she physically was not capable of having them, I think if she was still physically capable of having them, I should say, I don't think BB would have been okay with breaking up with her. Because I think the possibility of her changing her mind would have been enough. You don't stay with someone for 8 years on the off chance, like because you don't love them or you don't like them or whatever, right? He was with her for 8 years. This man was with her for 8 whole years, and when she no longer had the capability of reproducing, he's like, hey, this is a thing I really want, and since it's not even an option anymore, I think I should find someone else. I'm sure there were other things, but I think that was the straw that broke the camel's back. And I think that if that hadn't happened, they would still be together. She's put her entire life on hold for food, and now she's doing it again for cola, essentially. And without the proper toolkit to dig herself out of the hole that she's put herself in, she's never going to get there. If Chantel had the capability of doing it on her own, she already would have done it.
I don't want to be depressing, because I need to get myself out of this, and I know this sounds stupid, but I feel the quickest way I've always done it is just bottle it all back up, pack up, and just try to suffer through it, and then I get over it. I've always bottled, and I think that's why I had a breakdown, and just everything came back to me, and I was just like, obviously on something, but you thought none of us could see the signs in your behavior, you know. I was like, I wanted to deny it. Just deny it. I don't want.
On the topic of denial, I don't think that she sets out with the belief that I want to deceive my audience. Fundamentally because I don't think Chantel is capable of that kind of foresight. I think Amber Lynn is 100%. I think Amber Lynn is more cunning of the two of them. Chantel is too impulsive to really follow through with that kind of thing. It would require planning and execution of plans, you see. Something that is not Chantel's strong suit. Well, planning she's good at, execution not so much. So I don't think she sets out with it. I think she just says whatever is most convenient for her in the moment. And if that's a lie, then she's going to reach for the lie rather than the truth. Whatever is easiest. Chantel's only path in life is the path of least resistance.
I want to stop sharing these things with you guys, but it's too late. This is like that. You guys already know too much, so you're forever going to be wondering, and looking for signs of things and involved, and that's just how it's going to be.
I don't think that's true. I don't think it's too late. If she wants to take this offline, take an actual break, like a couple of week break, go somewhere, talk to someone, get your life in order, get your shit in order, come back online, tell everybody, hey, I'm no longer going to be talking about this, and go from there. You don't want to do that because, one, it would take a hit monetarily. Two, you don't want to actually confront any of your demons, talk to anybody, and actually fix the problem. And three, without these issues, you have nothing to talk about because you don't do anything. And I don't mean that in a mean way. Like, I don't like talking about my life either. I don't do anything either. All I do is work all of the time, honestly, way too much. And I hang out with my friends, neither one of which is particularly interesting to people who aren't my friends, right? So that's why I don't talk about my life. And I always say, I'm going to put stuff up on my Instagram. And I only ever put up stuff when I'm traveling because that's the interesting bits. That's fine. Most people's lives aren't very interesting. And she knows this, though. And her livelihood depends on making her life interesting. And that's the problem. That's why I put up a message on Instagram today talking about how I don't think Chantel can get better until she gets off the internet. And a fundamental reason I feel that way is because this monetization of all of the negative aspects of her personality gives her all the justification needed for her to continue engaging in that sort of shitty behavior, continue engaging in that sort of self-harming, toxic behavior. She needs to get off the internet, reevaluate her life, fix what is best about herself, and maybe come back. Because not everybody is meant for the internet. Not everybody is meant to have any level of success, right? I mean this 100% when I say that some people do better in obscurity. Some people are happier in obscurity. It doesn't mean that that's like a bad thing. Fame isn't for everybody. It comes with a certain amount of negative adoration, a certain amount of negative consequences. That's going to be true no matter who you are. And yeah, maybe it shouldn't be like that, but that's an idealistic world you're thinking of. She is not meant for the internet. And anyone who disagrees with me, you can please leave me a reason why you think so down below. But genuinely, until she gets off the internet, she's not going to get better.
Forever, and I just feel like I can't escape that, and I'm fine with that. But I'm not trying to lie to you guys. I'm not doing it to say, oh my god, how can I mess with them today and manipulate my audience? I would never, like, the thought of that makes me sick. I really, really care about you guys. I do. Even more so now than ever. And a lot of you are, like, there's so many of you, and a lot of you have a lot of good information and good advice and stuff like that too. And support. Support is important,
Couple of things here. She talks about how she doesn't, know how to get any privacy without lying. Just don't tell people information. You guys know I'm on the internet a fair amount, right? I'm on Twitter, I'm on YouTube, I'm on Instagram, Patreon, always be pushing. But I'm not like the most forthcoming about my personal life. It's just none of anybody else's business. It's got nothing to do with my channel or my opinions. It has very little bearing on what I do, right? So I don't disclose any of that. And I like keeping stuff private. I just don't mention it. There is a ton of stuff happening in my life at any given moment, and there's entire sections of my life that you guys have no idea about. And it'll stay that way. Not in a mean kind of way. I just don't want to share it with the internet. It's not for them. It's for me. And also, I have people in my life that I know wouldn't be comfortable being on camera. I know wouldn't be comfortable with the information, like that, with the internet knowing their information. So I do it for both reasons, right? I just choose not to mention it. I don't hint at it. I don't talk about it. That's all you really have to do. If you really want to keep a secret from the internet, I mean, true, she has more avenues through which other people can find stuff out. But a good example of how to keep something private would be Beyonce and Jay-Z's marriage, right? Jay-Z cheated on her, at least as the widely believed fact. If you've listened to Lemonade and what was Jay-Z's, Carter 3, I think it was called, the album that he put out. And they both talk about him cheating in that. And I'm pretty sure it's true. But we have never gotten a word of confirmation from either one of them regarding that because they don't want to talk about it. And like, if fucking Beyonce can keep shit private in her life, can keep her marriage private, then you can manage it. You choosing not to, you continuously doing things that lead to people finding out information is not on them. You knew how the internet would react if you ever said Dom's name online. You chose not to be careful, and thus his information was found out and leaked. Should people do that? Probably not. Will people do that? 100%. Wanting people to be better doesn't mean that you should behave like an idiot. I would hope that people wouldn't dox me, but I don't know for sure. I can't guarantee that. That's why I tend to, only put stuff up online that I want known. I protect myself. That's what you should be doing. I don't lie to you guys. I don't think I've really said anything well, I did say one time that I was 5'6", and I misspoke there. I'm like 5'5", 5'5.5", somewhere around there. I like to claim that I'm 5'6" sometimes if people ask me, but I'm not. It's a lie. I like being taller. But that's pretty much it. Any other information that I've given you guys is at least partially true, and the parts that I leave out is because I don't want information doxed about me, right? Like I leave out names, dates, locations, stuff like that. It's not that hard. And most people on the internet are reasonable people. They'll understand. This is bullshit. You've been on the internet long enough for you to know this. She just wants an excuse for why she lies continuously to her audience.
There's a lot of mental illness in my family. No, what does it say about the rules? Am I allowed to do, legal? Am I allowed to smoke a joint on here? No, it's not a joint, it's tobacco. Am I allowed to? If not, I won't do it.
So her channel, I think, has been getting flagged more and more. I think she's been getting more and more negative attention from people, and even people who were fans of her before are now starting to turn on her a little bit. She should definitely be careful what she does and does not do on camera. Talking about your addiction is one thing. Engaging in your addiction on camera can be another. And if I were the kind of person who was putting stuff up online and I cared about the income that I get, I would check more thoroughly to make sure that I wasn't breaking any of the terms and service of YouTube, because otherwise I could lose my channel. Otherwise I could get demonetized. If I depend on this income, that can be a big deal. Now, for me personally, it doesn't matter because I don't care, because I don't make a lot of money off of this. And, whatever money I make just goes back into this channel. It's a hobby, like I said. But Chantel pays her rent with this. You've been on YouTube for, 4.5, 5 years now? You can't look that up? Like you need someone else to do that for you? How lazy is that, Chantel?
Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm having a harder time than I thought I would. I'm so fucking stupid. I literally hate myself right now.
So I said in my last video, and someone said, I said in my last video that I think that she is detoxing, and someone said that no, she doesn't look like, she's not exhibiting any of the physical symptoms of detoxing. And you're more than likely correct. But I kind of think that if she's not experiencing, maybe if she's not experiencing the physical symptoms of detoxing, I do think she's starting to suffer, withdrawal. I do think she's suffering the mental burden of withdrawal. I mean, the drugs give her something, right? They give her a high, they give her an escape from her day-to-day life. They give her the ecstasy of not having to worry about her everyday problems. And I think that's the part that she is now beginning to crave for, that not thinking, that not caring. And it's getting harder and harder to get with the lightweight stuff, quote unquote, because she's used to the harder stuff.
I'm just gonna demonetize this video myself. This is not monetizable content. Yeah, your shadow side, just join.
Absolutely do not join. I'm not sure what she's referring to there. I tried looking it up in the comments, but I couldn't quite make heads or tails of it. I think that she's telling them to just join her members only chat. Do not join. If you are a member of Chantel, you're considering becoming a member of Chantel's, do not do that. I'm sorry, but she needs to hit rock bottom, and I don't think that will ever happen for her until she is dead broke. Because while she has this echo chamber providing her with the emotional support, and they're also providing her with the monetary support that she needs, she has no incentive to actually change her behavior. I know this sucks. I know that's awful. And I know that driving people off the platform isn't always the right way to do things. But I think in the case of Chantel, I genuinely don't think that while she can afford the drugs, she'll be able to give up the drugs.
So I just like, I didn't want to lie to you guys. I just didn't feel like I had any choice. Because if you're not telling the truth, then you're telling lies. So that was the only option. And I tried to make it so that it was like, I'm just not going to tell you stuff, you know? So, I feel like being lied to. No, I don't like being...
That's absolutely not true. She didn't just not address it. Like, if she's seen comments coming up and she just not talked about it, she just ignored them, whatever, that would have been one thing. That's not what she did. She actively said, you guys are making things up, you're lying, I'm losing weight the healthy way. She actively obscured the truth. That, at that point, is lying. That's a lie of omission, right? Like, sorry, that's an outright lie. And then a lie of omission is when you tell half-truths, like, oh, I'm 70 pounds down, doing it for my health. And you mentioned that, oh, I'm taking Ozempic, but you're not mentioning that I'm also taking like illegal drugs that are also helping me with the weight loss. That's a lie of omission. If you were just losing weight, you could have just said, oh, I've lost this much weight. Make no comment on how you lost it. That would have been one thing. But you gloated in it. You reveled in it. And also you painted French Fry Girl out to be a liar. She clocked you. A lot of people did, but she was the one that I think I heard it from the first. She clocked you on the fact that you were doing hard drugs. And you made her seem like she was crazy and obsessive and that she was lying. But in reality, you actively tried to keep the truth from people. You actively spun different tales. Simply not sharing it or not addressing it would have been one thing. You actively tried to push people into believing something different. That is lying. That is no longer trying to keep things private.
I hate lying to people. It's not like I enjoy it. But so many people knew it. It's easy and that's worse. I know people knew it. I knew that. But what can I do? Like, admit it? Like, it's something private, you know? And it's honestly, like, just something hard for me to share. Hard for me to talk about, like, really. What did I...
But that's the thing, though. I understand that it was hard for you to talk about. I understand that it was difficult. I am not like denying that. Hell, there's a ton of stuff in my life that I think is so difficult to talk about, and none of it is as heavy, I think, as hers is. None of it has like legal implications. But still, I don't like lie about that stuff then. I don't actively push people into believing something different. I've never come on here and said, I have no issues with food and you're all lying and don't believe your eyes. I've been honest about it. I've had issues my entire life with food. I've talked about how I'm getting evaluated for ADHD. I've talked about how I've had orthorexic eating in the past. I've talked about my struggles with body image and body dysmorphia, right? I don't like shy away from those things. And there's a ton of other stuff that I just don't mention because it's none of your business. But it's like, I don't actively push you in the other direction and say, no, if anyone is saying those things, they're lying about me. I either choose not to address it and I move on from there, or I tell you about what I feel comfortable telling you about.
How did I berate you guys? I didn't berate you. I didn't call you names.
She has actively called her entire audience names a ton of times in the past. She's called them stupid. She's called them, you're gaslighting, you're manipulative, you're fat shamer, you're ability shamer, you're shaming me, all kinds of things. And she does this all of the time. And if you call her on it, she's like, well, I wasn't saying it to you. I was just saying it to the people who are trolls in my comments. But you say to anyone who says anything negative to you, anyone who says anything critical of you is automatically a troll, right? I'm not a troll. I'm not here to just hate on you. I'm not just like, I don't go into her comment section and just type fat ass over and over and over again, right? I'm not doing shit like that. I'm telling you what my opinion is on your behavior. I don't call her names for the most part. I don't insult her appearance. I've gone as far as to compliment her when I think she's doing something well or when she looks beautiful. But you cannot sit there and behave this way and be like, well, I've never berated you guys. You absolutely have. When you yell at your audience, you yell at all of your audience. Everyone has to hear it, whether it's directed at them or not. It's the equivalent of your mom being mad about something at work, but then yelling at you about it when she gets home. She's not mad at you. You know that. But you're still the one who has to listen to all of the yelling. It still has a negative impact on you. That's what she's doing. So whether they're loyal fans or not, they still have to hear all this nonsense. So you're still berating them. You're still calling them names. And you can say later on that it wasn't directed at them, but if they had to endure it, then I think that it surely counts.
I was defensive because, I don't know, you get angry when people are right, you know?
I don't know. I don't think that's necessarily true. I think there's some people who get very angry and defensive when people are angry at them. But if you truly internalize that something was your fault, then no, you're not going to. There have been times where I've gotten very angry and defensive, and there have been times where I've been very contrite and very apologetic. And some of the times I was forgiven and some of the times I was not. And either way, I had to eat crow, right? Like I had to take it because it was my fault. When it's my fault, it's my fault. No one owes me their forgiveness. I am not owed anybody's forgiveness in any situation. All I can do is ask for it. So this idea that anytime anyone gets mad at you, you automatically become defensive. No. And if it's happening every single time anyone's mad at you, whether it's legitimate or illegitimate, that's something you should once again address with your therapist.
So yeah, what do you guys feel like? Do you feel like it's something you should share? Like, I really probably shouldn't have shared that. But then yeah, I didn't like feeling like a liar about it. I felt like, you know what? You told me to shut up and quit nagging you.
It's so funny when she says that, like, I felt like a liar because I wasn't sharing it with you guys. There's a ton of reasons why you're a liar, man, but that's not one of them. Not sharing something, choosing to keep a section of your life private off the internet is not the same thing as actively pushing people in the opposite direction because you're trying to manipulate them into feeling a certain way about what you're doing. You did the second one, not the first one, right? Like, if I choose not to tell you guys something, like say if I got into a car accident and I wrecked my car, it has something to do with my channel. It has no bearing on what I'm doing here, right? And I just choose not to talk about it. That's me keeping something private. If I come on here with a neck brace and someone asks me why and I tell you I got it defending a child in a park, then that's me lying to you. You did the second one.
Yes, Joe. Quit it. I don't want to walk. I'm just joking. Your job is sharing your life. It's true, Marissa. And that affects who's going to be in it. Look what happens when people in my life are part of this. It's a friggin' mess. It's like I feel like I'm not allowed to have happiness. I'm not allowed to be happy with anybody. People want to run to them and be like, she's such a horrible person. And it bothers me that people think that I am a bad person, because I'm not.
Okay, here's the thing. Your job is not to share your life. Your job is to be an internet personality. You can choose to do other things other than share your life, right? You were doing mukbangs for a while. You were telling ghost stories. Everybody loved your Around the World series, which you decided to discontinue. You made this into a 24-hour Chantel show. You made this into your version of The Truman Show. That's nobody's fault but yours. You're online almost 24 hours a day. I didn't ask you to do that. Most people are begging you to stop doing that and instead make your pre-recorded videos again. So don't put that on us. That's not fair. Secondarily, you having your happiness ruined by other people, no, that was all you. Yes, we knew who Dom is now. We know who Dom is now. But you put the information out there so that he could be doxxed. You were the one who were not careful. You were the one who put the information out there, exposed him, and as someone who I'm sure is engaging in a lot of illegal activity, that's not the kind of attention that he wants. That's also why I don't actually think Dom is her dealer, because he knows her well enough to know that she'd go and she'd tell everybody on the internet that he was the one who was dealing to her, and he does not want the cops to come knocking at his door. If he's doing something illegal and he's not a citizen, he's in line to be deported if he's ever convicted. So no, right? Like, we didn't ruin your happiness. You chose a sleazy guy. You doxed his information, and you are the one who suffered the consequences for it, right? I have a small but fairly dedicated group of people who hate me on the internet. I'm sure you guys can guess who they are. And that's why I don't share any information about my personal life on here that I think could lead to that. I try and be as careful as humanly possible. Like I've said, there's people in my life who wouldn't want their information doxed. The fact that she can't seem to do that, and then she puts the blame on everybody else, she puts the onus on everyone else, is both childish and disgusting. You were the one who showed his name. You were the one who drew his picture. You were the one who gave us key details. All you had to say was, I'm seeing somebody, and if people choose not to believe you, then they choose not to believe you. You couldn't have that, though. Much like Gabby Hanna, you need the last word in every fucking situation. That's why you're where you are right now. That's not on me, that's on you. Your inability to understand that this is the audience that you've reaped, it's beyond me.
You know, I'm really, really, really messed up. But I'm not a bad person. And I at least hope some people see that, you know.
Good or bad are they're very black and white terms, which is what Chantel generally tends to think in. So I'm not going to say she's a bad person. She's a good person. I will say she's definitely a bigoted person. I will say she's definitely a problematic person. I think that she has a lot of growing to do. I don't think she's a particularly kind person. I think that she's a manipulative person. Good, that's a very different thing. It's very difficult to put that kind of unilateral thinking on multidimensional, complex people. And no matter what you say about her, she is still a complex human being. So I don't know, but I don't think good is the word that I would use.
Yeah, people again believe he broke with a drug addict. Well, Ozempic was for a long time. Just recently I started feeling more hunger. I didn't do the cooking like the whole time for like a whole month, like good month, you know. I'm so excited. Oh, Tiffany, I'm sorry. I think a lot of us here are hurting, and I just wish we could be nice to each other because we're all hurting so bad. You know, we could all use support.
She's saying that, you know, we're all hurting so bad and we could all use support. And I feel like she's almost using the royal we. She's saying it's everybody's problem. She's known to do that. She'll, rather than making it personal and saying, I need support, I need you guys to be nice to me. She's like, well, everybody needs support. Everybody needs you to be nice to them. So that it's everyone's problem and therefore it's like easier for people to digest. Fundamentally, no, not everybody is suffering. And the people who are hurting a lot of them have done the responsible thing, reached out for help, and taken their life into their own hands and are actively trying to improve themselves. You are the only one here who continuously chooses sadness, and then it's surprised when at the end of the day, all you're left with is sadness. Sorry I'm pausing so much. I just have a lot to say.
I was losing weight drastically. It was so fast. I wasn't eating. I wasn't sleeping. Yeah, the way I'm being treated is like, it should be something hidden and not talked about. And I did have like the one night where I was drenched in sweat and I was so like, what the heck? How has all this affected Pete? It doesn't seem to have affected him. He doesn't talk to me about it. I don't know.
Pete is a very non-confrontational type of guy. I don't think he would say anything to her about it one way or the other, frankly.
Oh, it affects him. I'm sure he's not happy about it and worried. Wouldn't you if that was your best friend and they did something? Is this my rock bottom? I hope so. Oh my God. Why do I doubt that it is? It's like something in me, like a sick feeling.
I don't think this is her rock bottom. I'd mentioned it a little while ago as well, but genuinely, I don't think she's going to hit a rock bottom until she's completely flat broke and has to either move back in with her mother or rely 100% on the government for assistance. She might have to downsize, she might have to sell her stuff, she might have to move into a much crappier, tinier place, and that's when she'll feel like I've really hit rock bottom, I maybe need to do something. But until she gets to that point, I don't think she's actually going to, because fundamentally her life hasn't been impacted all that much, right? She might emotionally be feeling it, but she's not physically feeling it, you know? She was even in a little bit better, quote-unquote, physical health than she was before. She might be doing drugs, but hey, she's lost a ton of weight. I'm sure that her fatty liver is better too. So when you're looking at this, no, you know, she hasn't hit her rock bottom. And all those people, every single one of you despicable, deplorable people who are giving her super chats in the comments, who are giving her, you know, her membership money, stop it. If you're a fan of hers, stop it. You're going to get this woman killed. Stop it. If she does, I mean this genuinely, if she doesn't have the money to buy drugs, she can't do drugs. Pete's might be able to help her, but he's not the financial powerhouse in this house, and she's said it multiple times that her parents can't do it either. Stop enabling her. You're going to get her killed.
I'm not defensive. I'm actually just really chill.
It's so funny. She literally said earlier in this very stream that when people are mad at you, you get defensive. But okay, sure, Jam.
I'm in a really weird emotional mood. Hi, Sarah Jane. You'll know when it is. Maybe I'm a bottomless pit. What do you think of channels saying you're doing this for financial gain? I can honestly say there was very few times with any content that I've ever done that it has been for financial. Now,
I don't know if I necessarily believe that. She has done things for financial gain. A good example of this would be the apology video that she put out for Charlie Gold when she said Charlie Cole. Because she did that because people were getting mad at her and she was worried that it was going to impact her bag. That is making a decision based on financials. And she later backtracked because she didn't believe in it. She does a lot of stuff for finances. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing. I make a ton of decisions based on what I have available to me. I've told you guys before, I'm saving up all the money that I get from this channel to buy a really nice camera and mic, right? That's what I want. Those are my quote unquote goals, right? I want a good thing. That's why I'm not just willing to invest in something cheap right now, because what I have is working, and then I want to have a nice setup, and it's taking me a while to get there. That's a decision based on finances. If I make a video that does better and I get more money from it, that makes me happy. Of course it does, because that means that the work I put into it has been rewarded, right? Everybody has that in the back of their head. Now, the difference between me and Chantal would be that if something does poorly, I might still go ahead and talk about it. Like the Gabby Hanna stuff I talk about on my channel on a semi-regular basis. It doesn't net me any views, mostly. I think the last video I made on her got, 400 views? The one talking about her and Joey Graceffa? But I still made it because I want to talk about it. It's not my end goal. And I'm not willing to say something or do something that compromises my internal belief structure based on money. Chantal is. She's shown that multiple times. Is she faking the cocaine addiction? I really don't think so. I really do think that she has an issue. It would explain so many of her symptoms. Is everything that she's telling us about the cocaine thing true? Probably not. Chantal is prone to, let's be charitable and call it hyperbole.
I check my finances maybe once or twice a month. And as long as I see that I have enough to cover my bills and stuff like that, I say good, and I just keep doing what I want. And I really want to have freedom to just be comfortable doing things. I feel so much pressure, and that's what successful people do. They hustle, and I feel so lazy, and I know it, and I know it's just I'm just a joke to people.
She's not wrong. She is a joke to people in certain regards. She is also not wrong about successful people hustling. I forget whose quote it is, but they said something along the lines of, I found that the harder I work, the luckier I get. Nobody gets opportunities handed to them for the most part. I understand there's other forces at play, right? Like nepotism and whatnot. And that can sometimes make it easier. But for most people, most average people, and especially on YouTube, you need a certain level of built-in drive for success for you to be able to get there. You have to, talk to people, to work with people, to get sponsorships. I said before, I'm not particularly looking for sponsorships right now, but genuinely, like I said, even at my extremely tiny level of success, there have been people who have reached out to me, and I could make something like that happen. She's a much bigger channel. She could be doing so much better. She might have to moderate herself a little bit, but fundamentally, Chantal is incapable of that. Anyone telling her anything means automatically it's an authority figure she has to rebel against. That's why she can't do that. And on top of that, she's crushingly lazy. Fuck, she's been on the channel for 4 years, 5 years now, right? And even now she's oh, is it against the terms of service? Oh, I don't know. If it is, then maybe I shouldn't do it. Can someone tell me? You're not capable of looking that up? This is your channel.
Yeah, I monetize these. Why shouldn't I? You know, it's not like I'm trying to glorify. It's just that I am sharing my life, and that's like my job, is sharing my life. And even if it's bad things about my life, I think that a lot of people go through it, and it's not any different than a show like Intervention or something like that, you know? I think that actors have a right to be heard. People with eating disorders have a right to be heard. That's why I spoke out against Eugenia.
No, she spoke out for Eugenia Cooney. Let's be very clear here. Additionally, yes, addicts have a right. Yes, also, you know, people who are just in a bad mental health, who have food issues, everybody has a right to share their story. But there's a huge difference between sharing that from a point of view of, hey, this is how you should get better, and a point of view of, hey, I'm struggling, but give me money so that I can continue to indulge in my drug of choice. That's what you're doing. You're doing the latter. If you were, say, like an Obesetobeast who comes on here, talks about how he had struggles with weight and how he's doing better, that would be great. If you were someone on here coming and talking about how you recovered from being a drug addict like Emily Artful, then that would be one thing. You're not doing any of those things. Hell, you're not even trying to better yourself. You say you are, but you didn't keep that appointment with the addiction counselor. You haven't talked to your therapist. You don't take your medications regularly. You're not doing anything to help yourself. So no, I don't believe that you're actually trying to do anything. You think that you're just going to quit cold turkey, the same way that you thought that you could do, you know, a water fast for like 28 days and lose all the weight. You didn't have the toolbox to fix anything about your food intake situation. You don't have the toolbox to fix anything about your drug situation. That's why you need to go to somebody who has that toolbox. There's nothing wrong with that if only you would admit to it and do the mental hard work of talking to someone. So I don't agree with that. As for her monetizing these, I don't know how I feel about it, to be very frank with you. I know that a girl's got to eat, and I know a girl's got to pay her bills. But I also know that some portion of this might be going towards drugs. So I, go back and forth about whether or not it's appropriate and whether or not it's okay. If you guys have any opinions on it either way, please let me know. I don't know. I don't have hard opinions on everything, as difficult as that might be for some people to believe. Sometimes it's difficult for me to look at a situation and just be like, what would be the objective right thing to do here? I don't want her to become homeless, but I genuinely also don't think that while she is making an income, she'll ever be able to get better. So I don't know. I don't know what the right thing to do in this situation would be. That said, I would still rather her be homeless and alive and clean than her potentially ODing.
Because it's like, what was I gonna say? Yeah, it's like deplatforming us is not, and not giving us a voice is not gonna do anything, you know? The reaction channel is monetized. Yeah, it's okay. I have nothing against them, honestly. So you wouldn't monetize your confessional, but it has ads all over it.
So two things. One, yes, reaction channels are also monetized. That's a fair point. Fair enough. I'm also making addiction. I'm also making money off talking about her addiction. The only thing I can say is that I'm not the one actively engaging in it, and it's not killing me. It is killing her. That said, her addiction video might be monetized because YouTube might be monetizing it. If you guys aren't aware, YouTube recently changed its policy saying that even if your channel isn't monetized, YouTube can put ads on it and monetize the videos. I'm not 100% sure if that is also true for videos that actively have the monetization turned off, or if they're just age restricted. YouTube can sometimes go ahead and put things on there or not. I don't know how all of that works, to be very frank with you, and it's never been applicable to my channel, so I've never bothered looking it up. If someone has a clearer idea of it, please do leave it down below. But the disconnect might be there. I don't know if it's just not monetized on her end and maybe YouTube is doing it. I'm willing to give her the benefit of the doubt, at least until I know more.
What do you mean, fly on the wall? Thanks, Nicole. I don't know. I'm not a hero. I'm an anti-hero.
She is neither one of those two things. She is the court gesture, and anyone who disagrees with me can fight me on it. She is there for our entertainment, and then the moment that she's gone, 90% of us don't think about her again. You think about the heroes, and you think about the villains.
There is no shame. Secrets keep us sick. When you're an addict, when you have a lot of people who care about you, you feel blessed, but at the same time you feel burdened, because you want privacy when you're an addict, you know? And all day, people just calling me and messaging me and checking in. I'm just checking in on you. And I know they really want me to do this. And, I live stream my life, right? I know. It's okay. I'm not contesting anyone saying anything, peeper pooper.
So this is the same thing that she had with Dom, if you remember, where she wanted all the perks of having a boyfriend, but none of the responsibility of having a boyfriend. This is the same thing. She wants all of the care, love, and attention when it suits her. But in the moment that it no longer suits her, she wants it to go away. I've never thought, like, I can sometimes occasionally find my family a little overbearing, but I've never thought, God, these people care about me way too much. It's not a blessing anymore. I've always thought of my family and friends as a blessing. Fuck, I mean, to be very honest with you, I sometimes think of my family, I sometimes think of my friends as being a bigger blessing than even my family, right? My family has to love me to a certain extent. I'm born into them, but my friends don't have to. I chose them and they chose me back. And it's such a blessing to have people in your life to care that much about you. And the fact that she doesn't see that, she just sees it as another obligation, it's kind of sad. But it's not surprising. She felt the same way about the boyfriend thing. It's just a pattern of behavior for her. She just sees anything where she has to do something on her end to be too much trouble. She just wants. There's never a give in Chantel's life. Okay, I'm going to end the stream there. I really don't have anything else to say to the rest of Just Saying's compacted video. Her video, once more, is great. She does a great job with these. Please go and support her, subscribe, and, you know, give her all the clicks, the views, the thumbs up, and tell her I sent you if you want to. You don't have to. She has a lot more subscribers than I do, and quite frankly, she's doing great because she deserves it. But, you know, if you could, that would be very nice. Just, you know, a little nice thing you could do for someone. That was all I have to say about this video. If you guys continue to like this format, I might do more of these. I'm probably going to have a little bit of a change of scenery soon. Like I said, I'm you know, going to be doing more traveling, and so my background and stuff might change, and it might be easier for me to film these video reacts. So let me know if you guys liked it. Let me know if you'd like me to change something to improve these videos. Either way, I'd appreciate your thoughts down below. As always, you know, give me a thumbs up if you like this video. You can give me a thumbs down if you hated it. That's totally okay. I respect everybody's opinions here. Subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Hit the notification bell down below and hit all so that you get to know when I upload any videos right away. I've got all my social medias linked down below. I've got Instagram, Twitter, and Patreon. Think of Patreon as the tip jar for the internet. So if you like the job that I'm doing here and you want me to continue, consider tossing a few coins in my direction. You don't have to, but genuinely, everything on this channel that you see, any improvements that I've made over the years and any improvements you see going forward, it's all thanks to people on Patreon and the people who watch. And a special thank you to my $25 patron, D. Higgins. D. Higgins, you're a queen and I love you. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, I'm Jasmine, the sequel, and I am not relatable. Peace. A special thank you to my patrons, Acrofolk, Ariel M, Christina, Courtney EP, Wild Rose, Santhal, Jam Beans, Lauren Chris, Debbie Elliott, Juliet Q, Justa Jude, Kate O, and a special thank you to my $25 patron, D. Higgins.